Josh Harris will be welcoming us into his world of urban economics, the dynamics of cities, and spatial analysis with an introduction of what he calls 30-minute cities. As a hint, it's why Josh loves Orlando more than New York, and maybe even why you were a member of Winter Park Toastmasters. Please welcome Josh Harris as he introduces his theory on 30-minute cities.
All right, Toastmasters, let's start with a little Q&A this morning. Raise your hand if you drove from wherever you started, presumably home, to this meeting site in less than 15 minutes. A good number. Keep your hands up, less than 30 minutes. Go out. Who took 45 minutes or longer? Now everyone put your hand, just the who's my 45-minute folks? We got a couple. Yep, I knew Carson was going to raise his hand, unless he was a rocket ship. Where are you coming from?
1 minute.
1 minute? Did you fall through the rafters? Excellent. You see, we are in a centralized location in this wonderful metro we call Orlando, right here in Winter Park. But what you may not have realized is that this city, or metroplex, however you wish to call it, which includes multiple counties, has a very unique quality to it. Notwithstanding some of those very unique times, at maybe 5 p.m. or maybe 8:30. There's a little bit of a magic of starting at 7:30. Did you realize that? We all got here before it got bad. You can get around this town in about 30 minutes point to point. As a quick example, when I was deciding whether I wanted to move back from New York, because I lived in Orlando for quite a while, went to New York, came back, I've told that story. On one day, my first day back, when I was having a bunch of business meetings, figure if I wanted to do this, I was able to finesse my way around this town, starting with a hotel in Winter Park, down to a meeting in Millennia, back up to a meeting in downtown Orlando, up to Altamont Springs, back to downtown Orlando, back to my hotel, out to Lake Nona, and all the way back to my hotel by about 8:30 that night. Now let's contrast that to someplace else that I know, New York City or the New York metro region. Obviously, Carmelo, we can talk about this. Who's ever lived in the New York region? Well, look, a lot of hands come up. I couldn't do anything like that. Using of trains or subways. Now, it happened to be if your offices were all close enough in Midtown, which I had offices right on 42nd Street by Bryant Park, and then I officed at the Empire State Building. Yeah, if someone was right near me, could probably see him. By the way, if you visited from Orlando or elsewhere to New York, there's a good chance your hotel was right by my office. That was what's so crazy about it. It was easier to see friends from out of town than I ever saw people that I actually knew in the city. I had friends in New Jersey I barely saw once or twice in my entire 6 years of living up there. Why? Because it took forever to drive around. And it was expensive. Going to the airport. I mean, what's better than going to living in New York than leaving? It's true. Door to door from New Rochelle to LaGuardia, parking in the garage, Terminal C, Delta, 25 minutes. If I left at 4 a.m. Returning home, say I land 5 p.m. 2 hours. The White Stone Bridge be thy name. The reality is when you live in a 30-minute city, you live in the entire city. Day to day, you can enjoy the entireness of this city. If you're in a place like New York, you pick a zone. You have an area. Maybe it's Dumbo, FIDI, or some other coolly, newly acronymed micro piece of geography that some realtor or developer came up with to help market their area. But if you're in Orlando, as I did with my little show of hands, you can practically live anywhere, including Bithlo, and still come to Winter Park Toastmasters. But the question is, why are you all here? I just gave my story. I suspect that a good reason why you're still in this town, because you have choices to live everywhere, is that you like this too. You realize that you can get the benefits. You can get the variety of the restaurants. You can even throw theme parks in, which is a very unique thing, I must say. All types of jobs, employment opportunities. And you don't have to move. Here's something crazy. If you live in Westchester like I did, maybe you work in Midtown Manhattan. We've got a little music going. What if you want to take a job in New Jersey? There's a lot of employment sector, certainly on the real, institutional real estate, all out there. Would I relocate? Would they pay for my relocation? Well, I certainly don't want to drive an hour and a half each way. But if you're in Orlando, you can go everywhere. Which goes back to this Winter Park Toastmasters decision. I'm guessing, maybe you just love 7:30 on Fridays. That is your ish. I have to be here 7:30 Fridays. Possible. But this is a centralized location. You could have gone to a lot of other Toastmasters clubs. And let's be honest, they're not as good. Just kidding. These cities have a lot of interesting dynamics. Now, real estate economists, why do I care about this? If you're talking about where to invest, if you're talking about where to place your money, if you're talking about all the various things that might dictate growth patterns, I think this is an important characteristic. Look at some of the other storied cities. I mean, some of you may not be in this industry, but Austin, Texas, Nashville, what do they have in common? Music, food. If there's no music in Orlando, let's get the drummers together. Not the same way. Those cities were small enough that you could go there and get the entire experience of them. That actually allows the music scene to thrive, right? There's a lot of music in New York. There's lots of music in Los Angeles. The cities that get too big eventually plateau. Now, they'll still grow just because 1% of a huge number is a 1% of a huge number. But I argue that the best life experience that we're getting comes from the best 30-minute experience you can get. And granted, if you live in the Upper East Side, perhaps, which candidly takes a lot of money just to have, I mean, would you like to spend $10,000 for an okay-ish 2-bedroom? It's about the rates. This is an advantage that we have, and I think that we should enjoy it. From the stories of everybody in this club, I know we have people as far away as Africa, South America. Do we have any Australians in the club? Not yet. Recruiting goal. People come from all over the world, and they choose to come here. When I had the chance to basically live in any city I wanted to, I chose to come back. And I think the reason is that I can live in this entire city. So my advice to you would be thankful for where you are. Be thankful that you can be a Winter Park Toastmaster even if you don't live anywhere in Winter Park. Be thankful that you can have your small enclave. But as we've already heard Blake with his motorcycles, we have a UCF student story, right? You can get out of the UCF territory. Because we can get around this town, we can fully enjoy it. So fellow Toastmasters, enjoy your day. Be thankful for the opportunities you have, so long as you have a car or vehicle. That is the one limitation. I return control to our Toastmaster.